And we're on.
We actually are on. That's good. Welcome everyone to right now the Kyle Dake Hangout. We're still trying to get Rulon on, but we've got Kyle Dake right there flexing his muscles, looking good. You see him right there. And we've got a few other people on as well. I'm going to go through and let everyone introduce themselves. We'll just go left to right from the bottom of your screen. Just give us a quick pitch of who you are and your involvement with wrestling. We'll start with Bryce.
Well, I'm Bryce Miller. I'm the sports columnist of the Des Moines Register. I used to be the sports editor of the Register, and I've covered, well, we started a project during the International Olympic Committee vote back in February, a 7-month project on our website called Wrestling's Olympic Fight. And once a week for 7 months, we write about the issues related to the vote for the 2020 and 24 Olympics. That website is DesMoinesRegister.com/Olympic Wrestling. And I've also covered the last 3 Olympic wrestling tournaments for us in USA Today.
Awesome. Bo?
I'm Bo Nickel. I'm going to be a senior next year in Allen, Texas. I'm a wrestler, so that's pretty much it.
All right, thanks,
Penn
man.
State.
Penn State. Chris?
Yeah, I'm Penn State commit, I guess.
Chris Barbie. I'm a head wrestling coach at Stillwell High School in Oklahoma.
Awesome. Kyle?
Kyle Dake, Cornell University, 2013. And now I'm chasing my dreams in the international level.
Good deal, guys. Well, I know our guys have a lot of questions for you, Kyle, but I wanted to start off with one. Basically, you've achieved something that a lot of people have deemed near impossible, winning those 4 weight titles, 4 weight classes. Can you describe your feelings looking back on that moment, your sense of accomplishment, and just how that has impacted your life?
Sometimes I just get chills just thinking about it. This past Tuesday, or I guess Monday, I moved into my new apartment, and I was moving my NCAA trophies. I was like, dang, I have 4 of these? Come on now, that's crazy. And, it just goes to show you, that it quite hasn't sunk in yet. But, it was just an awesome feeling at the end to be able to celebrate it with my family and all my friends and my teammates there. It was like all my dreams had finally come true, but not quite. I got a few more things I want to do.
Well, you mentioned that one deal, with this whole Olympic wrestling situation. What are your thoughts on that? You're shooting for 2016, but you're also in that same age bracket for 2020 as well. What is that feeling like, not knowing?
At first it was, breathtaking. Like I didn't think it was real, and then after that it was kind of scary. And now I feel a little bit more secure just because there's such a huge movement, and wrestling's been getting a lot of attention, at least more than it has in the past. So I'm feeling confident that we're going to get it back, and we have some really great people working on it. Not to mention that Russia and Iran, 2 other superpowers in the world, are really working on it too, because it's their life, it's their lifestyle, and it's cool to be able to connect with people like that from around the world, under a sport, politics aside.
Awesome. Well, I know the guys have a lot of questions for you, so I'll kick it to you, Bryce. You want to ask Kyle a question?
Sure. A couple of things I wonder about, Kyle. One is, initially, how jarring was it when you heard about the potential, just given your age and where you're at in your competitive cycle, that there's a potential to not have Olympic wrestling in 2020 and 2024, kind of in your wheelhouse. And, if they don't have wrestling after 2016 in terms of those 2 cycles, how likely are you and other top guys to hang around, or do you expect guys to kind of fall off and try other things without that Olympic carrot out there?
It is kind of scary to think about. Right now it's my livelihood. That's how I'm living right now. Is I'm wrestling, and I'm trying to become the best I can. And then to know after 2016 that all of it could be ripped out from underneath us, it's a little frightening. But I think that if they do take it, which I don't think they will, then we're going to be we're going to be hurting for some guys who are going to continue to compete because that dream's not there anymore. And it's, people want to go to the Olympics and, instead of just the World Championships. But, there's always a lot of things, and it's hard to say right now, especially because, it's so far away. In 6 years, whenever 2020 comes around, we might be able to have something like the FIFA World Cup, something that big, and we could use that to our advantage rather than having, the Olympics. But, it's an uphill battle right now, and hopefully we get through it.
Good deal, man. Let's kick it over to Bo Nickel, recent Penn State commit, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you got a question for Kyle?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I'm going to be in college here pretty soon, and I was just wondering how, did anything change as far as between your freshman, sophomore, and junior year, as far as training, all the way up through the whole season? What were your, did it change, at all from sophomore year to junior year or junior year to senior year?
I guess it did a little bit, just because each year was just a new year, was a new challenge for me. I had to focus on different things each year. Like this past year, I had to focus on lifting, getting bigger, and maintaining my weight, just because I was only weighing about 166 going into practices and stuff. So I had to really make sure that I was getting bigger and focused on staying, keeping on my size. Before that, maybe I focused a little bit too much on cutting weight, but each year I gained a lot of confidence, which was awesome, because I wasn't, it's hard to go into your freshman year with, a mile-high confidence, just because you're treading water in the unknown. You don't know what's going to come. You don't know who's out there. So, but what you do know is your abilities, and you got to focus on your abilities and everything that you can control rather than trying to focus on anything else.
Well, do you think mentality is the hardest thing to transition from high school to college?
Yeah, luckily I was able to train at Cornell during the summer and the spring leading up to that season. I was able to come in with the Finger Lakes Wrestling Club and the regional training center here at Cornell, and wrestle with some really good guys, and making that transition during the summer helped a little bit. But when I got to the college season and I got to that grind, it was pretty brutal at first. But you gotta make everything a little bit of a competition and try to win all those little competitions. People are gonna say you're a try hard, whatever it is, but you gotta stand out. You can't just run with the pack if you want to be great. And I know you're striving for greatness.
Awesome. Chris, do you have a question for Kyle?
You just said that you were weighing about 166. So could you have made a cut to 57?
Yeah, I could have made it
senior year.
Yeah, I could have made it pretty easily.
I just gained a whole new respect for you. Simply saying when you could have made a cut to 57, and I think it makes that fourth title that much sweeter for you, the way that you did it.
Yeah, it was each year I kind of wanted a new challenge. It kind of just happened in the way that it happened. Me going up a weight class. Yeah. But this past year, I was a 3-time champ going for 4, and I always liked having, not pressure, but something to work for. Working towards beating arguably the best wrestler in the past that last year. Yeah. Was a good motivator, and it made me train that much harder, and it made me focus on a lot of different things. So being able to go up that weight class was kind of just a new challenge for me.
I thought it brought a whole new level of excitement to wrestling, and it gave us a shot in the arm that we need to go into the future.
Sorry.
Well, Kyle, you kind of had a. No, go ahead, Bo.
Sorry. So did you move up to 65 purely for that reason for that matchup alone, or was it like kind of also like for the better of your team?
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on with my team. We thought that we had a pretty good guy at 157 going into the season. We had a couple guys who could make the weight, and for me to go 165, it allowed those guys to get in the lineup. And I think as our team, as a team, we did pretty good. There were some points in the season where we thought we had a chance at making a run at the national championships, making a run in my final year. Unfortunately, we had a couple guys not break through like we thought they would. But there was a chance I was going to go down to 57 halfway through the year, just because I needed to for the team. But it didn't work out that way, and I'm thankful that it didn't.
Kyle, you've had a lot of experiences this year. You got to wrestle in the Beat the Streets in New York. I'm kind of curious. You've wrestled on the big stage in the NCAA, but you've also wrestled on the big stage at the international level. Can you describe the differences between that and just the feelings that you felt in New York? You had that big win with the clinch. Can you talk about that?
It was an awesome event. Beat the Streets was an awesome event, and to wrestle on a stage like that was amazing. But for me, it didn't have the same hype as the college season, the end of the year, just because there was so much build-up leading into it. Not as many people follow the international scene in America, just because that's how it is, and hopefully we can change that. I'd really like to change that, to get people interested in foreign countries and knowing the guys that we wrestle. But for me to go out and wrestle the way I did at Beat the Streets was pretty awesome.
Good deal.
With that being said, sorry, I was just gonna ask him if I'm gonna be wrestling in the Cadet World Championships here in the next at the end of the month. So, do you have any advice, like going against for foreigners? Do you have to wrestle them any differently than like Americans, or like any advice?
Just they're sneaky. So if you're gonna finish, you gotta finish hard. If you're gonna bang heads, you gotta bang heads hard. You can't don't be hesitant with your attacks. Don't be hesitant with anything that you do. You gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta be ready to wrestle the way you know how to wrestle, and take it to them. Don't sit back just because they have Russia or Iran or Azerbaijan on their singlet. You have USA wrestling. You have USA on your singlet, and they're gonna be scared of you, just because they know that USA is on the rise, and we have some shining stars coming up. You being one of them.
I want to kick it over to Bryce a little bit. You've been covering this Olympic wrestling situation since day one. You've done something every week. Obviously a big supporter of wrestling. Can you talk about what it's been like from your perspective, from a journalist's perspective, covering this, as well as your personal thoughts on it?
Sure. The reason we did it primarily to start with is, there are pockets of the country where wrestling's bigger than other parts of the country, and Iowa is obviously one of them. And so, from a journalism newspaper standpoint, it's just a big story here, anything related to wrestling, especially something so broad and impacting when it's the entire sport. It's not even about one or two guys. It's really about the backbone and the foundation of the entire sport. And for that reason, it was kind of a no-brainer for us to do something bigger. And I guess I just pitched, well, let's not be too provincial. Let's look bigger, more broadly than that, because it's a global question. It's not an Iowa question. As these guys, as Kyle pointed out, it's not even just a U.S. question. I mean, I think some of the most leverage and influence that'll come to bear on that vote in Buenos Aires in September might come from a nation like Russia, might come from a nation like Iran, and not just the coalitions surrounding supporting the sport. But you look at, I should do this. I haven't done it yet, but so I'll give away the story idea. If you break down Russia's overall Summer Olympic gold medal or medal haul, that's a significant portion of their overall medals, because they've been by far the most dominant international country. So it's an international question. So we tried to approach it that way, and so we've talked to. I know we were the first ones to have an interview from the U.S. with Pavlovic when he took over. Fila. We've had interviews over the phone with Nigeria, Brazil, other parts of Europe. It was important for us not to make it just an Iowa or U.S. thing. And the other thing, journalistically, we're not here to advocate necessarily for wrestling. We're just here to, a warts and all approach to look. Some of our stories are what needed to change with the rules, and a lot of those things did change as they restructured it. And one, it's just, we thought a mainstream newspaper, a mainstream media group, when has anybody committed 7 months worth of coverage on anything, any one story? So we hoped it kind of made a statement too about the importance of wrestling here, but even internationally. And so that's our goal, and we've done a ton, and we've got about a month left, and we've seen the story evolve. I think early on I worried for wrestling. Now I think wrestling's chances have evolved and improved. I don't have any insight other than what I'm seeing in terms of what we're reporting, but it's been interesting to watch a story develop over time rather than just a snapshot of a day or a week or two. So that's our objective, and that's what got us going on it.
Yeah, you mentioned that development. Kyle, you wrestled this year under both sets of rules. What are your thoughts on the steps wrestling's taking, including the new rules, to get back in the Olympics?
I think it's a start. I don't think we're quite there yet. They're making some changes that just make things more complicated. We need to simplify. If you look at any of the sports that are mainstream, soccer, football, baseball, what are their objectives? Soccer, you put a ball in a net, that's it. Basketball, you put a ball in a hoop, that's it. Wrestling, there's just so many rules that they think they're adding to make it better, but they're just hurting it. They just need to go out and let us wrestle, and that way more people will understand it, and it's just so easy for them to go out and watch. If we take a look at MMA or UFC, whatever it is, people know the objective of the game. You make them tap on your shoulder or tap on their own arm, or you turn their lights out. So that's just so easy for people to understand. That's why they love it. And we need to simplify things and really make it simple for people to understand if we want to, keep pushing.
Well, I got a Twitter question for you, Kyle. What was the most intimidating moment of your entire career?
Oh, geez, I don't know.
Does Kyle Dake get intimidated?
I don't honestly. Oh man, I just get excited to wrestle. I don't look at it. Intimidation is just like a negative thing, and I don't think about it like that. Wrestling's fun. I've been doing it my whole life, and I like to think I'm pretty good at it. So when I go out there and wrestle, I'm doing what I love. It's not I don't have any reservations, or I'm not scared at all. So I think I just go out and wrestle and do what I know how to do.
Good deal, man. Bo, I actually have a question for you. You're in that young age group where you're just starting to get into college now. You're looking at it. What are your thoughts on the possibility of there not being Olympic wrestling? And you're still young in your career, so I'd like to get your take on it.
Yeah, growing up, I've always seen myself competing in the Olympics after college, and so when I heard that it was possibly going to not going to happen for me, that made me a little sad and also a little angry. Like, I'm not really too sure how they let it get to that point, because wrestling's been in the Olympics for so long, and it's just a classic sport, you'd figure, and there's so many countries that compete in it, and so I was just not really sure how that happened. And when I heard it, I was pretty disappointed. But as we move forward, and as all the people came and started supporting more, and I'm sure it's even the same as us, if not more, in other countries. And just after seeing that, I knew it was going to get reinstated, and I'm still confident in that.
Good deal.
Hey, can I throw a question in for Bo, too?
Yes, sir.
Bo, one of the things, talking about the impact of Olympic wrestling in particular, how much does it validate a decision like yours to go to Penn State? I covered Cale Sanderson when he won his gold in Athens in '04, and covered Jake Varner, who's still very connected with the program at Penn State. last year in London. Did that factor in at all that those guys had kind of reached the highest level and done that in terms of your decision?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you put yourself around guys that have experienced that and that have accomplished all those great things, that gives you a real edge to because they know all the preparation and all the hard work that it takes, and that just gives you just kind of, if you just let them lead by example and follow them, they've obviously got it figured out, so they're definitely going to help you tremendously.
All right, I want to kick it back to you three for one last round of questions for Kyle, if you have any. Chris, do you have any other questions for Kyle?
I just want to commend him, and I have one question I want to ask him. What were you thinking when you're in the finals of the the mini tournament with Andrew Howe, and you're going into that 12-minute overtime? What's going through your mind there?
We were so sweaty, so slippery. It was,
Yeah.
it was really tough to get any, solid attacks off. When you are that slippery, you got to be careful with, what you do. If you take a bad shot, or you got to kind of have a perfect shot if you want to have an opportunity to score. So I was just trying to make it perfect, and it wasn't quite there. And he thought he had a shot, and I was able to counter it pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. I just enjoyed watching you through that whole weekend, and I appreciate the way you carry yourself through the wrestling world, and I can wish you nothing but the best of luck.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And the dog seconds that wherever they are.
Bo, do you have anything else for Kyle?
Yeah, I was just wondering. I know obviously your fourth title was probably against your toughest opponent, but which match do you think, or well, not necessarily match, but which one, like freshman through senior year, was the hardest to get? Because I mean, I know it's obviously extremely difficult to attain that, but what do you think? Which one gave you the biggest challenge? Do you think?
David, my senior year, was definitely one of the best opponents, and that was one of my biggest challenges, in my wrestling career. And just having to go up against him 3 times in one season is a lot, to ask for anyone, because he's such a great competitor, and we're going to be banging heads for a long time. So that one was tough. Going in my sophomore year was a little frustrating for me, because I didn't perform as well as I wanted to at the EIWAs, and I came in seeded 4th, and there wasn't any doubts. There was doubts before EIWAs, and I think that's why I didn't perform as well as I should have. And then I looked at it, I was like, man, what are you doing, Kyle? Like, why are you doubting yourself right now? You know your abilities, and you know what you're capable of. You just got to go do it. And that was kind of a wake-up call for me, and I really just refocused those 2 weeks leading up to nationals, and wrestled a really tough tournament.
Bryce, do you have anything else for Kyle?
Sure, especially now that he's got the crown and we're talking to royalty. I don't know if that's popping on everybody's screen, but there's a nod to the royal baby, I guess. Yeah, I'm a journalist, got to ask a tough question, but when you finally won that 4th title, did you have a pig out moment on a food thing, or how'd you release that pressure? Did you do something goofy? Did you go to a paintball range? What were those next 48 hours like? I can't imagine mentally. It was like Cale Sanderson in college. He dealt with every day. I don't want to lose a college match. I want to be the first guy to go unbeaten. You had a different kind of pressure. How did you relieve that? And whether it was food or fun, or what did you do?
I didn't think about it as pressure. People always take a negative spin on, they call it adversity, they call it pressure, stress. I think of it as fun. It's fun to go out and compete. I have an opportunity to do these things, and I have an opportunity to show what I have. So that's kind of how I dealt with it. I got excited to go wrestle. I wasn't having this negative thought process going into the tournament. So that's kind of how I dealt with it. I was every single year after weigh-ins the third day, I went and got chocolate chip pancakes with a big old glass of chocolate milk with all my family. So that's kind of what I did, and I've always done that, so that worked out for me.
I think it worked out okay for you.
Yeah.
Good deal. All right, one last thing I wanted to do with you guys. We're doing our Take a Stance promotion. We just started it on Facebook and Twitter today. Hashtag Take a Stance. Take a look at it. But I want us to all get in a wrestling stance in the webcam and take a screenshot of it. Can we do that real quick? We gotta keep the people happy,
You know what? I got to journalistically avoid the stance, but I'll watch all yours.
I actually just lost everyone here.
Am I back?
There you are.
Move
Or
back.
we can do the Greco stance.
Greco stance.
Are you wrestling Greco or freestyle at Worlds?
Freestyle at Worlds.
Nice. Why didn't you want to go both like Terrell? 4-2.
I got a 30 Greco actually, so I didn't make the World team.
What happened?
I don't know. I was banking on freestyle. I'm not really much of a Greco guy.
Whoa! Don't hate on Greco.
No, I like
I
it.
need
I
to
like
take
it.
my eyewear off.
I don't really train.
Oh. All right. Did you capture my take a stance yet?
I got your stance, man. I got
I mean,
You look classy.
I could stay here all day if you wanted me to.
it. We might have you do that. We got plenty of time.
I think I hold the Guinness Book of World Records for longest time in a stance.
How long?
It was 27 hours and 38 minutes.
Not bad. Not bad.
On the dot.
Is that what sets you apart from everyone else?
I definitely played a role. But I think what set me apart was, my freakish good looks.
Yeah.
You can't tell you were confident. I bet that didn't help you.
I was
I
just
think
kidding.
the guy just came out on the mat and was like, "Dang, this is just a good-looking guy. I don't think I can beat him."
What's the key? Is
he
it
didn't
the
want to
hair?
hit me hard.
He's starstruck.
He didn't want to hit me too hard because he's like, wow, this guy's pretty good looking. I don't want to ruin the rest of his life. So I'm gonna let him stay pretty and not gonna hit him too hard. And I was thankful.
First of
those
all,
guys.
First of all, I don't comment on dudes' looks.
I think you would. You do, especially mine.
Okay.
But
But I'm secure enough to say, okay,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I mean, you gotta be.
All right.
You know.
When the Google Hangout went off the rails a little bit.
Yeah, fellas, we're gonna wrap it up real quick for our audience out there.
Yeah.
Just remind everyone, we're gonna do this again next week. We'll have a lineup for you. Sorry we couldn't get Rulon on this week. He had some technical troubles. We'll try and get him on sometime soon. Visit keepolympicwrestling.com, see what you can do, and just stay informed. And we'll, vote in September. Thank you, Kyle, for coming on.
No
We
problem.
appreciate it, man.
Everyone, we did a great job.
Hey, it's
Awesome.
great to talk to you, Kyle, and I look forward to meeting you sometime.
Thanks, Chris.